The winter night on Colony 9 was colder than usual. Winds moved through the empty streets like sharp blades, carrying dust and frozen air. Most people had already gone inside their warm homes, locking their doors and windows. Only one person still walked outside, a human engineer named Evan Cole. Evan had worked a long shift at the power station. His shoulders were heavy, and his eyes felt tired. He walked slowly, rubbing his hands together to stay warm. The cold was biting his skin, and his breath formed small white clouds in front of him. He only wanted to reach his apartment and rest. But Evan did not notice one important thing. When he pulled out his ID card earlier, his wallet slipped out of his coat pocket. It fell quietly onto the icy ground, and he continued walking without looking back. Not far away, two small figures moved through the shadows. They were thin, weak, and shivering. Their skin was pale blue, and their clothes were torn. They were alien twins, Rin and Sarah. For many days, they had been trying to survive on the edge of the colony. They had no home, no food, and no one to help them. That night, the twins were searching the ground for anything that could help them stay alive, maybe dropped food, maybe a small heat pack, maybe something valuable they could trade. But instead, they found something unexpected. It was a human wallet. Sarah picked it up with her shaking hands. The leather felt warm compared to the cold air. She looked at Rin with wide eyes. "It is human," she whispered. Rin nodded. His stomach growled loudly, but he tried to stay calm. "We should return it," he said softly. "If the owner lost it, he must be worried." Sarah looked scared. "What if the human is angry? What if he hurts us?" Rin swallowed. He was scared too. Humans in Colony 9 were not always kind to aliens. Many humans avoided them. Some shouted at them. Some even reported aliens to the patrol drones, which never ended well. But Rin still believed in doing the right thing. "We cannot take what is not ours," he said. "Let us try." Slowly, the twins followed Evan's footsteps in the snow. Their bodies shook every few seconds. Their teeth clattered. Their small feet left tiny prints behind them. Evan walked deeper into the narrow street, unaware of the two shadows creeping behind him. When he turned a corner, a bright streetlight fell over him, and he suddenly felt something strange, like someone was watching him. He stopped walking. The twins also froze. Evan slowly looked over his shoulder. At first, he saw nothing but darkness. Then he heard soft footsteps, two small sets of footsteps. He turned quickly, thinking maybe someone wanted to steal from him. What he saw made him step back in surprise. Two small alien children stood under the streetlight, shaking in the cold. Their eyes were big and full of fear. Their clothes looked like they had been worn for many days. Sarah held the wallet with both hands, as if she was afraid it might drop. Rin took one small step forward. We found this," he said with a weak voice. "It is yours." Evan looked at the wallet. Then he looked at their tiny frozen fingers holding it. A cold feeling moved through his chest, not from the weather, but from shock. Why would starving alien children return a human's wallet? Why did they look like they had not eaten for days? And why were they trembling so much? Evan slowly reached for the wallet. The twins flinched, thinking he might shout or hit them. But he only took it gently. "Where are your parents?" he asked. The twins looked at each other. Their eyes lowered. Their bodies trembled harder. They said nothing. Evan suddenly understood, something was very, very wrong. And this cold night was about to change all their lives forever. Evan stood in the cold street, holding his wallet, but his eyes stayed on the alien twins. Their bodies shook non-stop, and their breaths came out in weak white clouds. The wind pushed against them like an enemy. They looked so fragile that even the cold air felt dangerous. Evan's voice softened. "Are you two all right?" Rin nodded slowly, but it was not true. His legs were shaking so badly he could hardly stand. Sarah pressed her arms around herself, trying to keep even a little warmth. Evan stepped closer, but when he did, the twins moved back. Fear flashed across their faces. It was clear they were used to humans who yelled or chased them away. "I'm not going to hurt you," Evan said. "I just want to understand. Why are you out here alone? Where are your parents?" The twins looked at each other. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Sarah whispered, "Gone." Evan's eyebrows pulled together. "Gone where?" Rin lowered his head. We do not know." A heavy silence filled the air. The wind blew harder, making their clothes flap. Sarah was so cold her fingers were turning light purple. Evan realized they could not stay outside any longer. He looked around. No one else was on the street. Patrol drones were far away. He made a quick decision. "Come with me," he said. "You need warmth." The twins froze, unsure. Rin stepped in front of Sarah as if protecting her. "Why?" Rin asked nervously. "Because you're freezing," Evan said. "And because you did something honest. You returned my wallet. That means you trust me. Let me help you." The twins hesitated. Sarah's eyes were full of fear but also a small spark of hope. Rin finally nodded. "Okay, but only for a little time." Evan guided them down the street. He walked slowly so they could keep up. Their steps were weak and uneven. When they reached Evan's apartment building, the twins hesitated again. The building looked too clean, too bright, too human. "It's safe," Evan said gently. Inside, warm air wrapped around them like a blanket. The twins gasped quietly. It was the first warm place they had been in for days, maybe weeks. Evan brought them to his small living room. He turned on the heater, brought out blankets, and gave them warm water. The twins sat close together on the floor, still shaking, but slowly beginning to relax. After a few minutes, color returned to their faces. Evan sat across from them. "Please tell me," he said softly. "How long have you been alone?" Rin looked down. "Since the last moon cycle." "A whole month?" Evan said in shock. The twins nodded. They told him they had been hiding near the edge of the colony, in an abandoned storage unit. They had survived on scraps, melting ice, and luck. Most humans ignored them. A few scared them away. A patrol drone once chased them for entering the wrong zone. Sarah's voice trembled as she spoke. "Our parents left to find help. They never came back." Rin added, "We waited. We kept waiting. But we got weaker every day." Evan felt something tighten in his chest. He looked at their small hands, their thin arms, their scared eyes. They were just children. Children who had no one. "Have you told any humans before?" Evan asked. Both twins shook their heads quickly. "They will take us," Sarah whispered. "They take aliens away. We heard stories." Evan felt a chill, even in the warmth of his apartment. "What stories?" Rin looked straight into his eyes, fear shining in his expression. "They take us to places we never return from." Evan's heartbeat slowed. He had heard rumors too, secret programs, hidden labs, strange disappearances. He never believed them. But looking at the twins now, he wasn't sure. Something dark was happening in the colony. Something the twins had escaped from. And now he was part of it. Evan knew one thing for sure, helping them would change his life, and maybe put him in danger. But he also knew he had no choice. Warm air filled the small apartment, but the weight of danger still sat heavily on Evan's shoulders. The alien twins sat wrapped in blankets, holding warm cups in their small hands. Their eyes followed every sound, every movement, like scared animals expecting something bad to happen at any moment. Evan moved slowly so he wouldn't frighten them. "You two should rest," he said gently. Rin shook his head. "We cannot stay long. If someone sees us here, you will get in trouble." Sarah's fingers tightened around the blanket. "Humans get punished for helping aliens," she whispered. Evan had heard that before. The colony leadership claimed this rule was for security reasons, but many people believed it was only fear and control. No one really knew what happened to aliens who were caught without documents. Evan looked at the twins and felt anger rising inside him, not at them, but at the system that allowed children to suffer like this. "You returned something important to me," he said. "It's only right that I help you. I can't leave you out there in the cold." The twins exchanged a nervous look. Kindness from a human was rare. They didn't know how to trust it. But they were too weak to refuse. Evan stood up and walked to the kitchen. He heated some food, something simple but warm. The smell filled the room. When he placed the bowls in front of them, the twins stared at it like they had forgotten what real food looked like. "You can eat," Evan said softly. Sarah took the first bite. Tears quickly filled her eyes, not because of sadness but because the warmth shocked her body. Rin began eating too, slowly at first, then faster as their hunger took over. Evan watched them with a quiet ache in his chest. After they finished, Sarah leaned against Rin, exhausted. For a moment, she looked like a normal child resting after dinner. But the deep fear in her eyes broke that illusion. Evan sat on the floor across from them. "Tell me more," he said. "I want to help. But I need to understand." Rin hesitated, but slowly, he began speaking. "We lived far from here, in Outpost 14. It was small, but safe. Humans and aliens lived together. But then something happened. Soldiers came. They said they needed to check all alien families. They took our parents first." Sarah whispered, "They said it was for health tests. But people never returned." Evan felt a chill. "That sounds like a lie," he said. Rin nodded weakly. "We escaped through a back door. Our parents told us to run. They said they would find us later. But they never did." Evan leaned back, trying to process everything. If what the twins said was true, then the colony was hiding something dark, something dangerous. Before he could speak again, a sudden sound echoed through the hallway outside. Footsteps. Slow, steady, and close. The twins froze instantly. Their eyes widened with fear. Evan raised a hand, signaling them to stay quiet. He stood up and walked carefully to the door. A shadow passed under the gap between the door and the floor. Someone was standing right outside. Then came the sound he feared most, a heavy knock. Bang! 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 "This is colony security," a voice called from outside. "We need to ask a few questions." Sarah covered her mouth. Rin pulled her close, shaking violently. Evan felt his pulse pounding in his ears. Did someone see the twins enter? Did a neighbor report him? Were security forces already searching for the aliens? Evan forced his voice to stay steady. "One moment." He turned back toward the twins. "Hide," he whispered urgently. "Now." Rin and Sarah scrambled behind the sofa, their small bodies squeezing together. Evan reached for the door. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside him. When he opened the door, a tall security officer stood there, scanning the room behind him with sharp eyes. "Mr. Evan Cole," the officer said, "we received a report of unusual activity in this building." Evan's heart dropped. This was the moment everything could fall apart. And the twins' fate rested entirely on what he did next. The security officer stood tall in the doorway, his scanner glowing with a cold blue light. Evan felt the heat drain from his body. Behind the sofa, Rin and Sarah held each other, trying not to breathe too loudly. Evan forced a calm smile. Unusual activity? What kind? The officer stepped inside without waiting to be invited. His boots echoed on the floor, heavy and threatening. Someone reported strange movement on your floor, he said. Possibly unauthorized lifeforms. Evan kept his face neutral. Unauthorized lifeforms? Do you mean animals? The officer's eyes narrowed. Animals do not walk on 2 feet. A chill went down Evan's spine. The officer knew something. Or at least suspected it. The scanner in his hand beeped softly as he pointed it around the apartment. It glowed brighter when it passed near the sofa where the twins were hiding. Evan quickly stepped closer, pretending to tidy a few things to block the scanner's path. Everything okay? Evan asked casually. The officer tilted his head. You seem nervous, Mr. Cole. I had a long day at work, Evan replied. The officer didn't look convinced. He walked deeper into the room. Rin and Sarah's hearts pounded so loudly they felt like the officer might hear them. Sarah placed her tiny hand over her mouth, praying she wouldn't make a sound. The scanner beeped again, louder this time. The officer raised it toward the sofa. Evan acted quickly. My heater is malfunctioning, he said. It gives off strange readings sometimes. The officer paused. Is that so? It happens, Evan said with a shrug. The officer stared at him for a long, tense moment. Evan felt as if the officer could see straight through his skin. But then, finally, the officer lowered the scanner. We will continue patrolling the building, he said. If you notice anything suspicious, report it immediately. Evan nodded. Of course. The officer stepped out. But before leaving, he looked back once more. Mr. Cole, he said, you know the rules. Harboring alien minors is a serious offense. Evan swallowed. I know the rules. Good. Make sure you follow them. The door closed. Silence filled the room. Evan rushed to the sofa. It's okay, he whispered. He's gone. Rin and Sarah crawled out, both shaking violently. Sarah looked like she might collapse. Rin wrapped his arms around her protectively. They were looking for us, Rin said. They know we escaped. Evan sat on the floor with them. Tell me the full truth, he said quietly. What happened to your parents? Everything. Rin took a deep breath. They were taken by humans wearing white suits. They said it was for health checks. But they lied. They took many alien families. One by one. Sarah wiped her eyes. We heard screams one night. Then silence. Evan felt something cold settle in his stomach. What kind of place was it? Rin's voice lowered. A research facility. Secret. Hidden under Outpost 14. They study alien bodies. They test things. They hurt people. Sarah whispered, no one returns. Evan sat back, shocked. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't a story. This was real. And these children had escaped from it. Why are they looking for you? Evan asked. Rin's answer chilled him even more. Because we know the truth. And because we saw something we should not have seen. What did you see? Rin looked straight into Evan's eyes. They were building something. Something big. Something dangerous. Something meant for humans, but tested on aliens. A cold fear traveled through Evan's body. The colony was hiding more than cruelty, it was hiding a threat. Before he could ask anything else, the apartment lights flickered. A low hum filled the building. Sarah whispered, trembling, they found us. Evan rushed to the window. Outside, in the dark sky, small red lights floated slowly toward his building, security drones. Dozens of them. They were scanning each window, each floor. "They're coming," Evan said. "We need to leave. Now." Rin grabbed Sarah's hand. Evan grabbed a bag and stuffed it with food, water, and a heat pack. The drones got closer. Their scanners glowed brighter. The building alarm began to ring. They had only minutes before everything collapsed. And this time, running would not be easy. The building alarms grew louder, echoing through every hallway like a warning drum. Red security lights flashed on and off, painting the apartment in sharp colors. Evan grabbed his emergency bag and looked at the alien twins. Rin was breathing fast. Sarah's hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold her blanket. "They're coming," Evan said. "We have to move." But before they could reach the door, a heavy metallic sound came from outside. The drones had entered the building. Their engines hummed through the walls like angry insects searching for prey. Evan's heart raced. "They're scanning every apartment," he whispered. "We can't use the hall." He ran to the window. The cold air hit him as he opened it, and he saw security drones floating just outside, shining red spotlights through the building. Rin pulled Sarah closer. "There is no way out." Evan thought fast. He knew the drones would reach his door within minutes. He also knew something else. Once the drones captured the twins, they would disappear into that secret facility, just like their parents. He couldn't let that happen. He grabbed a small device from his drawer, an emergency signal booster. It was illegal to use without permission, but Evan didn't care anymore. He placed it on his table, connected it to his hollow pad, and turned toward the twins. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "I am going to show everyone the truth. If the colony sees what you've been through, they won't let the authorities take you." Rin's eyes widened. "You want to tell them? All of them?" "Yes," Evan said. "Every human in Colony 9. Before the twins could speak, a loud metallic voice echoed through the hallway. "Security sweep beginning. Stay inside your homes." The drones were right outside. Evan could see shadows moving under his door. He hit a button on the device. A bright blue flash filled the room. The emergency broadcast system activated. Across Colony 9, holoscreens lit up. Shops. Streets. Homes. Workstations. Every screen suddenly displayed Evan's apartment. People stopped everything they were doing. Evan stepped into the center of the broadcast. Behind him, the twins sat on the floor, small and frightened. "My name is Evan Cole," he said, voice steady. "These children are Rin and Sarah. They are refugees. They are innocent. And they are being hunted." Drones began hitting his door, trying to break through. Boom. 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 Evan continued speaking. "They escaped a secret facility where aliens are taken for experiments. Their parents were taken too, and never returned." All over the colony, humans stared at the screen in shock. "Look at them," Evan said, moving aside so the camera showed the trembling twins. "They are freezing. Starving. Scared. They returned my lost wallet instead of stealing it. And this is how we repay them." Another boom shook the door. Sarah cried softly. Rin held her close. Evan stepped in front of them, blocking the camera. "If these drones enter my home," he said, "you will all see exactly what your leaders do to innocent children." His message was spreading faster than security could stop it. People across the colony began shouting in the streets. Some recorded the broadcast. Some demanded answers. Some ran outside to protest. Then something unexpected happened. A huge number of citizens gathered around Evan's building. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder, blocking the entrance. They chanted loudly. "Let the children live. Stop the experiments. Protect the innocent." Inside the apartment, the drones suddenly stopped pounding on the door. They were receiving new orders. The colony administration could not continue the raid, not with thousands of people watching and shouting. A minute later, the alarm stopped. The drones pulled back. The lights returned to normal. Evan let out a long breath. Rin and Sarah stared at him like he was something impossible. "You saved us," Rin whispered. Evan knelt beside them. "You saved me first. You returned my wallet. You chose honesty even when you were starving. I only did what any human should do." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "No human ever helped us before." Evan smiled gently. "Then I'll be the first." Later that night, the twins were granted temporary protection. Volunteers brought food, clothes, and blankets. Reporters demanded answers from the government. And Evan was no longer alone, the whole colony stood behind him. The twins curled up on Evan's sofa, warm and safe for the first time in a long time. Rin whispered, "We returned a human's wallet, but he returned our hope." Sarah added softly, "And he changed our lives." Evan looked at them with a gentle smile. "No," he said. "You changed mine."